right. Hey, folks, this is Peter Coulter.
And Chad Broussard, and you're listening live to another episode of the Mercenary Musician Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking to you about... That's a good start.
Stage fright.
We're going to talk to you about stage fright.
I was distracted because you said you're listening live, which you are not. This is pre-recorded.
Yeah, I say live on all of them.
Well, shit. We got to go back and edit me in correcting that.
Deceiving. Deception.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Yes, we're talking about stage fright.
Yes.
Today, which
right up my alley.
Yeah. It was brought up to me by a listener who said, you never touch on this, which is like my biggest issue. And I was like, yeah, I guess not. And part of the reason for that, and one of the reasons why it took so long to do the money management thing, is because it's one of the things I'm good at. So I think, no one needs to, I wouldn't have needed this when I started, so nobody else does, which is not the right way to think about it. And on that note, I just want to say, if you are like this listener, if there's something you are needing help with, let us know. We're like very accessible. We had somebody call us recently and ask about the vocal coach thing, and so that is going to light a fire under my ass to find a vocal coach to talk to. So, reach out and we will respond to you. We're going to be doing this for a long time, and if you want to get in touch with us, now is the time. It's still early here. We still really don't have many eyeballs on us compared to where we're going. So, get in touch. Now's the time. Anyway, stage fright. So this, as I said, this is not something that I experience that intensely. I know some people have it really bad to the point where they just never get on stage, like my friend Chad here. Mm-hmm. So to some extent, I don't know what to tell you because I don't experience it that much, but I do experience it to some extent. And early on, I experienced it more, for sure. But I think the number one way to get over stage fright, there are really like two top big ways. One is to get really good, is to be very confident in your abilities. That's a huge part of it, right? I know that I'm good, and I know that I know what I'm doing. And I think a lot of stage fright comes from feeling unprepared, feeling like you're going to fuck it up, that type of thing. The other big thing, aside from just being good, is being experienced. And that seems kind of obvious, and they might even seem like the same thing. But when you've done something, and it might not sound like, again, like the savings in the money episode, it might not sound like what you want to hear, but just doing it, just getting out there and screwing up a million times like I have, and having it turn out okay is kind of the key. And it's it's the same. We've talked a little bit in parallel about like meeting people to date or that type of thing, approaching people who you're attracted to, and you get this like, oh my God, I can't do that. What if I get rejected? And then if you can just get past that little bit of fear and push past it and go approach someone, the worst thing that ever happens is someone goes, no, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you. And that's not fun, but it's not like getting stabbed in the eye or something. And the same thing happens basically with gigs, where it's like the worst thing that can happen is you get in front of a crowd and they hate you. And that very rarely happens. Like that very rarely happens. I don't know that it's ever happened to me, but even if that happened, you wouldn't be dead. Yeah. So you tell me, is this advice helpful at all, or
it's spot on?
Yeah.
But I mean, even if you are confident in what you do. And I mean, there's professionals out there that still have stage fright. And I remember the lead singer when we first saw the Used at Warped Tour, he wouldn't face the crowd.
Oh, really?
And it later came up in a Rolling Stone article was the fact that he had severe stage fright.
Yeah.
And I think I might botch this. James Maynard Keenan, the lead singer from Tool and Perfect Circle, same situation.
Yeah. That is very interesting.
So for me personally, it's more so because playing guitar is one of the only things that I have stuck to for so long.
Yeah.
So it's very near and dear to my heart, right? And so I don't play covers, even though, if I was to go out and do this, I would.
Right.
I play for quiet enjoyment and therapeutic purposes, but I don't generally play in front of people. I can count on my hands and toes how many people I've played for in almost 21 years of playing.
Okay.
It's the fact of the rejection, but the rejection of the one thing that you hold nearest and dearest to your heart, right?
Yes.
So it's like rejecting your one craft that you care so much about.
Right.
And that, if you internalize it, could be detrimental to just the whole outlook of going out and playing live.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that actually, to bring it back around to like approaching people you're attracted to, that is a big part of what's happening there is when someone rejects that, it feels like they're rejecting you as a person, right? It's not like, oh, your omelet is not good. It's like you're not a good person.
It's interesting too, because when COVID hit, I started playing drums, and I would be more inclined to go out and play drums today than I would be to go out and play guitar,
right,
which I've played for 2 decades now.
Right, because it's not
still in the infancy stages.
Right.
It's like, fuck
You're supposed to suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I hear you. There's another famous example of someone with stage fright is the bass player from the band. I forget the guy's name, but he had pretty severe stage fright. I think he actually mentions it in one of their songs. I can't stand his voice, but he's a good bass player.
What band?
Sorry?
What band?
The band.
Oh, the band.
Yeah.
Oh, great name.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing too, if you don't start early on in your playing career playing with others, I think that could be detrimental as well.
With others, like in a band?
Yes. Just being comfortable playing with others, learning how to get time down around other individuals, not just with your metronome.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. So if you're just getting started, that could be something to try is get together with people and jam a little bit. It's also super fun. So I've got some suggestions, concrete kind of ways to try to build on this. One thing to do, systematic desensitization is something that is proven to work in a lot of things, right? Where if you're afraid of spiders, your therapist will just have you talk about spiders.
Okay, I was going to say.
And then the next
doesn't fucking fix anything.
Well, and then the next time
from someone with arachnophobia.
Yeah. And then the next time they talk, you'll show them a picture of a spider. And then the next time they'll have you hold the picture of the spider. And then the next time they'll have a live spider in a little thing. And then like slowly getting you used to like more and more exposure.
Yeah. Sounds like purgatory.
Yeah. It seems to work. There's some studies out there about that working for phobias. So you can take this idea and try to apply it to your stage fright and play first for somebody who loves you, right? Then maybe 2 people who love you, then you can do like a little family concert and have, your family and friends and like 5 or 6 people sit on the couch while you play one song kind of thing. And then if you're already past that, or once you get past that, you can go play at an open mic. So this type of thing, you can kind of build on it. And that would be, I think, a good thing to start trying to do. Another thing is, and I think that Chad has kind of done this more or less. You don't have to. I know this sounds weird coming from me. You don't have to do this professionally. If it really is that stressful for you, and it's not really fun, you don't have to do it professionally. It can just be a hobby. It can just be fun. And I don't want to say, okay, if you have stage fright, you shouldn't do this, because if you really want to do it, you can do it. You just have to really want to do it. And that would be admirable if you know you really want to do something and it scares you and you do it anyway. That's like the definition of courage, right? Yeah. So, this is another opportunity. We went over like, why are you doing this? That was an episode. Get connected with why you want to do this at all. If the why is big enough to justify facing that fear and doing this kind of work on it, then do it. If it's not, then maybe don't do it, or push it off onto a maybe later kind of project. Stage fright. Okay, how about like in the moment? So let's say you're more like where I'm at, and you're playing gigs already, and I do still sometimes get nervous, right? Sometimes just playing a new place where I'm like a gig that I would like to keep. It was my first time playing at a gig. I'll get a little nervous. Playing to a big audience, like an audience that's larger than most audiences that I've played for, that can be nerve-wracking. Playing in a scenario I'm not used to. So, like if I were, for instance, in a band that was opening for a large act.
That's a good point.
And it was like, okay, now I've got to use like monitors. The stakes are high. I'm like stage lights and a big stage, and my band is like spread out further than I'm used to having it because it's a bigger stage. Like that type of thing. Novel situations can be scary even for me. I've been doing this for a long time, and that type of thing can still get to me. So one thing that will help every aspect in your life pretty much is meditation. Being able to get mindful, be in the moment, is an extremely valuable skill. So something that I will do, for instance, is feel my feet, right? And I don't mean like put my hands on my feet and feel them with my hands.
Yeah, you focus on them.
Yeah, you focus on them and you just notice the sensations there. And it can ground you in this like, oh, this is what's actually happening right now. Mm-hmm. Well, these anxious thoughts they're just occurrences in my conscious awareness. They're not.
Because you care.
Yeah.
You care about what it is you're about to do.
Yeah.
And just do it nervous. It's okay. Because what happens when you do something nervous? It eventually settles down. Like as you're in the moment, as you're doing it, those nerves settle down. They
settle down, and it can be useful, that kind of energy. There's obviously a level where it goes too far and it will fuck you up, but a little bit of jittery energy, it can be good. It can get you moving, get you jumping around and energetic. So you can use that also. Another thing you can do, which I love this just as a general strategy for crowd interaction, is just be honest with the crowd. You can say, hey, this is a big show for me. I'm a little nervous. Thanks for being here. Just take it easy on me, guys. I'm just,
it's my first day on the job.
Yeah, right.
Have fun with it.
Yeah, have fun with it, and just you can be honest with the crowd, and you can kind of have just a talk with them about it. That can be another idea. And I'm not saying you have to do all of these things. I'm just kind of throwing ideas out. Another thing that I've found is I'll sometimes feel like the resistance to starting, where I'll just be like, okay, I'm all set up. Do I really have to do this? Do it. And what can be useful, it's like jumping off like a high diving board, if you've ever done something like that, or like a big cliff. Just don't think about it. I mean, once you've established that it's safe, don't think about it. Just go. Just don't even count. Or sometimes counting can help. 3, 2, 1, jump. But just like trying to not think about things is a losing battle. But just do it. Just sit down, plug in, say, hey, everybody, I'm Peter. And now you're on the hook. You got to start. Don't say, hey, I'm Peter. Say, hey, your name. Stage fright. What else we got?
Does it make sense if you're in a position where you are just so terrified to go on the stage to record yourself playing, put it up on the internet, and kind of see how it takes?
Does it make sense to record yourself playing, put it up on the internet, and see how it goes? That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. But
Or like social media or whatever, the stories, and stuff like that. Something where you can set it, forget it, and come back and say, oh, hey, these people like this. Or, hey, they didn't. Maybe they should look at a different career.
I would say that's not a terrible idea, but I would be careful basing whether or not you're good on what the internet says.
Yeah.
Because you might just find that the crowd, you're not finding the right crowd, and it can be different live. Like the thing about the internet is you're competing with Led Zeppelin on the internet. You know what I mean? Like if you're putting a video on the internet, you're competing with all the best content in the world, which I'm not saying you shouldn't put content on the internet because of that, but it's different to be like a live musician at a bar. People are like, oh, look, music, I can make requests, and it's like somebody having their own take on it,
I guess what I meant was, like, for instance, if you're using the Ultimate Guitar app and you select a song, there's also a tab where you can see all these other musicians playing that song, right? And so it's almost like a rabbit hole. You can get on there and you get lost, and you find people who are playing different variations of the song where it's like, oh, wow, that's unique. I never expected that. And maybe that's what they did to kind of build their confidence up to get to the point where, like, okay, I can do this. Let's go try it on the stage now.
Yeah, could be. I mean, I'd say that could work. Yeah, I'd say give it a shot. And this is another this kind of a zoom out point here that we can make. This is an example of just seeing a problem and just approaching it from all different directions. If you have a problem with stage fright or anything, just thinking about different things that might work is a wise idea, right? Like, what can I do here? What can I do here? What can I do here? Should I try open mics? Maybe I'll just play for mom first. How about if I just explain it to the audience? I'm totally upfront and honest and vulnerable about it. How about if I try to post stuff online? How about and this is just a good exercise for trying to solve problems. Just like, I want to fix this. What are some things that might work? So, yeah. Let's close it with a final idea that I haven't thought of yet.
That's good.
Thank you. So, stage fright, I think, comes from a fear of being rejected or a fear of embarrassing yourself. And it's, I think it's usually not totally rational. I think it is almost always going to be not as bad as your anxiety is telling you it's going to be. Even if it is a total train wreck, it's not going to be death, which is what your anxiety is telling you. Yep. It's like, this is life or death. Yep. Right? So what I would say is try playing in front of small groups of people, try open mics, try, unpaid stuff like open mics at first, and build up your confidence that way. Play in a room with other people, with other musicians, get jamming in a room. That can be helpful.
Church bands.
Some of the best musicians in the world come out of church. So yeah, if you have a church band, you could join. And the most important thing is to be good. If you're good, and not just good, but confident in the fact that you're good, right? So practice your instrument, practice singing, practice doing both of those things together. Practice reading chord charts. Just practice all your stuff until it's really good. And I want to back that up a little bit, because I don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good, right? I don't want you waiting until you think you're perfect to play gigs and using that as an excuse not to play out, right? Don't wait till you're perfect, but know more or less what you're doing before you go.
Don't wing it.
Don't wing it totally, right? Have when you go to this open mic, right? Have 3 songs rehearsed that you can play, that all the way through. Mm-hmm. That you're not like, I only kind of know these, right? Going in knowing your stuff is
half the battle.
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it. And if you have any questions, or if there's anything about this that I didn't address well, email us. I know it's tougher for me to address problems that I don't experience as much.
Yeah.
So if you got any specific questions about this, I would love to hear them, and I will give it some more thought. And this is another one where like we kind of talked about the vocal lessons, and I kind of gave you what I know about vocals, but said I'd get a vocal coach to come talk about it. This could be something like that, where I find an expert on stage fright or somebody who I know who has really overcome stage fright and see what they did.
Yeah, we'll circle back to this episode, I'm sure, down the line to revisit it and see, where you guys are at.
Yep, sounds good.
Ciao.
Bye.